to Summit Sunrise. Like I said, very special guests here on the morning show. We have Paul Cohen and Mark James, who are here in the studio with us. And Mark happens to be one of the featured artists at the Breckenridge Fine Art Gallery, and Paul's the director over there. And there's something that is really, really, in my opinion, magical that happens throughout the season when they bring the artist into the gallery. And this isn't just like a, hey, come on in and meet the artist. You actually work in front of people in the gallery, and it's such an incredible experience. It is totally free. And kids are welcome, right, Paul?
Oh, absolutely. We love to have families in. Normally when the doors open and the kids are walking by the street, they say they want to go look at the pictures and the statues. That's what they call the bronzes. So yeah, no, we love to have families in. It's great. And the idea is that the artist can bring his studio into the gallery. And that's what Mark's got. He's got a special sculpting table, his light, and he'll be working on a precast clay. It's a beautiful piece. He'll be working on that today and tomorrow.
Wow. All right. Now this is incredible because Mark, what you do, I mean, you can see some of the pieces right now on the screen that Mark has done. And this is something where, I mean, you go in and at least for me, I always look at the bronzes and the sculptures and it's like, how do you do that? And then to be able to actually see it right in front of you live happening is pretty amazing. And Mark, let's tell people a little bit about you and about kind of where you come from and your art and the fact that, you know, you're kind of like our Western guy, you know?
Kind of. I live up in Wyoming, Lander, Wyoming. Been a professional hunter and guide for a number of years. Excuse me. So I've got a lot of influence. I live a mile from an Indian reservation. A lot of my work is influenced by the natives up there. So I'm merging the professional hunting career and the sculpture career together. And it's reflected in my work.
That is pretty incredible. Now, some of these pieces, which you can see here, you know,
are big.
Yeah, that is huge. My goodness. But what I thought was so interesting about your work is that, you know, compared to other artists, you really have a whole story behind a lot of your pieces that really kind of touches on a lot of different things.
I try to dig deep and reflect on some pretty serious, but yet interesting subjects that a lot of people can enjoy and appreciate.
Right.
Historical, native things, Western, and now the wildlife.
Right.
Getting more and more into the wildlife again, so that's really fun for me. And I'm traveling, doing TV shows with other people, and bringing that into light as well.
And speaking of the wildlife, coming to life here in the studio.
Come check out the wolf.
Chaco, come here. Yeah, gotta love the morning show dog that is very interested in what Mark has
He's an art lover.
Mark has to offer. Okay, now the piece that we have here in the studio with us, one of them, right here on, oh my gosh, Chaco, we need to really train you for TV, sir. Excuse him. Okay, but the piece we have here on the table, this is just gorgeous. And can you tell us a little bit about the story behind this one?
Well, briefly, yeah, this was inspired by a friend of mine, a man named Soldier Wolf. He's Northern Arapaho, and I live right between the Arapaho and the Shoshone Reservation. And a lot of the native tribes, especially the Northern Arapaho, have what they call a wolf society. And so they're very influenced. Their culture and their beliefs all are intermingled with the wolf, and historically. So on this particular piece, they're both seeing, feeling, sensing the same thing, moving in sync, and that's the name Spirit Wolf. And I just released this in a 8th size monument, about 6 feet tall.
Wow.
So, yeah.
We were trying to get one on the corner of South Main and South Park.
That still might happen.
It may still happen.
Gosh,
right outside the gallery. Can you imagine? Right on the corner.
I would love it. I
That would
would
be
love
fun.
it. And the detail that goes into your pieces is just incredible. I mean, it really brings it to life. And like you're talking about, some of the themes that you work with are really, at least in my experience, very unique when it comes to the world of art, especially in the Fine Art Gallery. It's something that completely stands out.
Well, his very first piece that he ever sculpted in clay to be cast in bronze was Chief Seattle. And the picture went by of that earlier. And Seattle, Washington was named after this Indian chief. And the piece is called White Man is His Grass, which was an expression used by Chief Seattle in a very impassioned speech that he made to President Franklin Pierce back in the 1850s. I think it was 1854, after they'd been forced to sell like 2 million acres of land to the white man for $150,000. So no wonder. But the speech is beautiful. We have it in full on paper, and people would give it out to people. And I've had people in the gallery in tears, reading the speech and then seeing the detail on the face. This took you over a year to carve. I mean,
That was actually my first piece, and Paul and his organization took me in. when I
with
sculpted
one piece.
So I had a
Which is
really
unheard
neat,
of.
really fun,
Wow.
exciting, crazy kind of start, but so we go back several years now.
Yeah, that's
It was a
right.
great
gosh.
start.
In fact, I said to Jim Tillich, the owner of the gallery, the family of galleries, I said, how did this guy with one unfinished piece get into our galleries? Normally to take an artist in, we need
That's
a body of work.
impressive, right.
And Jim told me, he said, Mark is a master carver. He's going to go down in history in the United States. And his career is about to just explode because of what's been going on with the hunting side and the guiding side. And now he's got involved with, who's the gentleman?
Larry Wyson, Mr. Whitetail. He's
Mr.
a
Whitetail.
really famous, fantastic hunter. And he started collecting my work a while back, and now he's having me on his TV shows, and I'm hunting with him, studying wildlife, photographing wildlife, recreating things in real taxidermy work, and then turning them into bronze.
Wow.
So that's the series of TV shows that we're doing now the next couple of years.
All over
I was
the
on 2
US.
episodes last year, and it's continuing on now.
Oh my gosh.
So a
Mark,
lot of exposure on TV. It's fun.
we like having you. It's very rare that we get to kind of have the authentic cowboys that can also express themselves in art on the show. And you know, after kind of looking through some of your pieces too, Mark, I think like you were saying that it took you a year to sculpt the face of Chief Seattle,
Right.
but also there's an elk that's in your repertoire, and I thought it was such an interesting story behind it. That this guy, you spent a lot of time hunting this particular elk.
8 years, and I never did get that elk.
Eight-
But
One.
he was my teacher and my guide, literally. And Larry Wyson actually owns that piece, and that's what got my hold. When he saw that piece, he went nuts, and so that ties everything back into the hunting again, too.
So, I mean, 8 years you spent studying this elk, and then were able to kind of create it in your work of art. And also the way that you do your art, it's very rare how you do it. It's not something that people typically do as far as how you create the bronzes, right?
Well, the process is typical. My style and my techniques and things are rather unique. So every time I do a piece, it's very different. It's very different. They're created, kind of creating the wheel, recreating the wheel every time I start a piece, because nothing is the same. There's similar techniques that people use, but it's a little different the way that I work.
Like this is a picture right now of Mark actually working on the piece that we now have in bronze here in the studio. And that's when he was working on that piece earlier.
Wow, absolutely incredible. Now, also on the set, you guys have, both of you, because they're so heavy, you have these incredible door knockers. And oh my gosh, tell me a little bit about these.
These
Well,
are brand new, aren't they?
These
just
are,
come out.
yeah, we're starting a line of functional work, something that's pretty affordable, and some of them are recreations of pieces that I've already sculpted. I just got back from a month in Texas with Larry, and we're going to be doing a line of Texas work. It's longhorn steers, got a stallion, but these are the first two that just came out in bronze just a few weeks ago.
How's that for a door knocker?
I mean,
I'm serious.
that is impressive.
This one's called Standing Ground, and that's
Days gone by.
Days Gone By.
Days
I-
gone by.
oh my gosh.
And
So
they're pretty heavy.
Yeah,
Very,
they-
about
There's
9
one
pounds.
mounted.
they are, but absolutely gorgeous. Those are one of those, it's one of those things where I have to tell you, Mark, if I owned a home, that would be
This
one
is
of those
what
things.
you need to get. It's an incentive to buy a home.
There you go.
Right,
There
exactly.
you
Buy
go.
the home around the art. Now, when exactly are you going to be in the studio sculpting?
Starting this morning.
Yeah, well, actually, the show is officially 4 to 8 both days, but the gallery's open from 10 till 8, and Mark's going to be there.
We were there
pretty much
last
all
night
weekend,
working, so.
Working away, so.
We want people to bring kids.
Oh, yes.
Love
They
having
can play
children.
with the clay and
Yeah.
get into the sculpting.
You
That's
see-
the whole
Always,
thing. Some young ones have actually got into sculpting or painting because of coming in and being allowed to get interactive with the artists in our galleries, which is great.
Young ones, you should have seen the Valentine's Day card I was creating last night, Paul, just because I've been inspired cutting out pieces of
There
paper.
you go.
Yeah, I'm really
There you
good.
go.
But it really, it's an amazing experience. It's one of those things where you just, oh my gosh, it's completely magic. And it's right on Main Street in Breckenridge, super easy to find. You guys have
Yeah.
some really great hours too, so it's
Yeah.
very
We're
accommodating.
open 10 o'clock in the morning till 8 at least, sometimes 9, 10, just depends on how many people are walking in. But with the very cold nights, there hasn't been so much foot traffic late at night this winter.
But again, Mark's going to be there for the next 2 days, so perfect time to stop on in, kind of hear the stories yourself, see the pieces in person. It just doesn't even do it justice here on the set. But Mark, thanks so much for coming
Thanks
on
for
this
having me
morning.
back again.
It's so nice to have you here,
Thank
and
you.
we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back with more Summit Sunrise.